Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we are doing 1981's Escape from New York.
Call me Snake.
So before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and all that great stuff.
Yeah.
But let's jump into it. 1981, Escape from New York, starring Kurt Russell and his hair. Glorious hair.
Oh, flowing mane.
Lee Van Cleef, Ernest Borgnine, and Donald M. and F. and Pleasance.
Ernest Borgnine playing the role of Cabby Exposition in this movie. Oh, literally the only thing he was there for.
He's playing... I don't understand his character in this movie.
You know who Cabby is, really? Cabby is a amalgam or a mashup of the modern day sports fan. Like, oh, Snake, you're my best friend. I love you, Snake. Hey, Snake, can I follow you around? Take me out, Snake.
Oh, Snake Plissken in my cab? Wait till I tell Eddie.
And then it was like, oh, no, don't cross the Duke. Duke's number one. Duke's the man.
The Duke of New York, number one. The big man, that's who. You can't meet the Duke. Are you crazy? Nobody gets to meet the Duke. You meet him once and then you're dead.
It's basically like, I love LeBron. And then you get around some other friends. It's like, man, MJ would kill LeBron. Fuck LeBron. That's who Cabby is.
He's like the little dog in the Warner Brothers cartoons.
Hey, Spike, how about we chase cars, huh? Does that sound like fun? Yeah, that wouldn't be no fun.
So let's get into this. This was written and directed by John Carpenter.
Yes, you could tell by the synthesizer music.
It opens that the island of Manhattan has been turned into a maximum security prison in 1988 because crime has risen 400%. It's surrounded by a 50-foot containment wall. All the inmates are sentenced to life imprisonment and no rules. This is like the MMA. No rules except you can't fish hook. No rules except they can't leave the island. No rules.
Can't leave the island. Every man for themselves. It literally was 1988 New York.
So,
like, Michael Douglas pops up in the background at one of these scenes and is actually giving a monologue.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good. Greed is right. Greed works.
Flash forward to 1997. The opening of this shows some guys in like a raft trying to escape the island. They basically get blown away by a police helicopter that's patrolling.
Yeah, if you're unaware, they're supposed to be like the legendary story of Alcatraz and the two guys that made the dummies.
Yep.
And then set sail on a little makeshift raft.
Yep.
I think this was like John Carpenter's way of going, see? Not even Alcatraz guys could get away from this. We got helicopters to shoot missiles at them.
Oh, but the next scene after this is Kurt Russell gets to the island and he's escorted by armed guards. The president is traveling to a three-way summit between
he is
between the United
Brandy Love and Sasha Grey.
Between the United States, the Soviet Union, and China.
We watched a very different movie then.
Yes, we did. The plane is hijacked by some like rando operative in the resistance.
Some Patty Hearst looking bitch.
Yeah, and crashes the plane into a building in Manhattan, and the president is taken hostage.
Correct. And can we just go ahead and make this our first PSA?
Sure.
Thank you very much. Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. If you are writing a manifesto for your guerrilla splinter group, and you think you're going to make your point by reading your manifesto aloud, stop. Nobody cares. Unless it is directly going to the news station, that manifesto is never going to be heard.
No.
Those guys listening to you being like, for the People's Liberation Front of freedom fighters of United, who gives a fuck? They're sitting there laughing their asses off at that.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay, good job. Have fun crashing your plane. Have fun. Such a joke.
It goes to the United States Police Force Commissioner Bob Houck,
Yes.
who is played by Lee Van Cleef.
The man.
He assembles soldiers to go in, travel to the crash site, and try to save the president. Because when the plane crashed, the president had his little escape hatch, which looked like the egg from Mork and Mindy that Mork escaped with.
Totally.
Except they basically just used that from that set and just painted it like orange or whatever color it was in this movie.
Well, and if you pay attention, when Donald Pleasance is going to the escape hatch, in a lot of these movies, the president is always the one going, I gotta stay, we got stuff to do. And the Secret Service or somebody else is like, no, we're taking you to the hatch. Like, beyond anything the president can possibly control at that point. They're like, Mr. President, they got the plane. We're going down. He's like, fuck it. Get me to the hatch.
He's like, I'm out, bitches.
Yep. Have fun.
Get me to the pod.
So they get to the escape pod. They notice that it's empty, so they realize that he's probably been taken hostage. This is where they meet Romero, who is like the creepiest character in this movie.
One, I loved him. Two, he reminded me of Evil from Fright Night.
He tells Houck and the soldiers that they have the president, they have 30 seconds to bounce, or they'll kill the president. And he gives them one of the president's severed fingers.
With the ring, because apparently when you're president, you have a decoder ring that's not real. Like, I don't understand what that was.
It's a presidential seal, when they put wax on the letter and he's got to stamp it. So
his other one is, it's approved and veto.
So they get out of there, they bounce. Hawk then offers a deal to S.D. Pliskin, played by Kurt Russell, and he lets him know that he goes by Snake.
Call me Snake.
I realized one thing when Kurt Russell started to speak in this movie. A, I love this. I love his character in this.
Yeah.
And B, Raiden in Mortal Kombat literally took his voice acting cues from Kurt Russell in this movie.
I don't give a fuck about your war or your president.
You have been chosen to defend the realm of Earth.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you've ever seen Tropic Thunder at the beginning of the movie where they're doing the previews,
yes,
and Ben Stiller's doing the action, the Scorcher movies.
Who left the fridge open?
It's Snake Plissken. He totally was mocking Snake Plissken.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic.
So this is just an example of how it works in this movie and not in Mortal Kombat. So We'll move on. The Hawk then offers Pliskin a deal.
I'm making you an offer. Bullshit.
So Hawk says, well, that sentence is done if you save the president. This is the first episode of 24. You have 24 hours to save the president. Sneakily, they put little explosives in his neck. And if you don't save the president in 24 hours, or if you bounce or whatever, we hit the thing, it goes boom, boom, your head go bye-bye. So they send Snake into New York and to save the president. There's a couple of things. Some of the gangs in this movie are just ridiculous.
This was like, between this and the Warriors, I would like to just see like a battle royale of the different gangs, because this was crazy.
This had a very Warriors feel to it.
Yeah.
So Snake covertly lands on top of the World Trade Center with his little glider thing.
Yes.
And which I don't know how he's going to get the president out, because that little glider doesn't look like it has more than space for one.
Dude, he had half his leg hanging out that fucking thing. He could fit. That was the tiniest glider in the world. It was
smaller than the bathroom in my first apartment. So he gets there. He gets to a theater where because he's got the little tracker. The one thing I don't like about 80s movies is when it has trackers, because technology back then, I'm talking about CGI technology, wasn't awesome. So it's literally just a square thing with a red dot in the like a red light that never moves.
Yeah, they basically peeled off. Remember the old football game, the handheld football game? They just peeled off all the front stickers of that, so it was just the red dot.
Exactly. So he gets to a theater, and that's where Snake first meets Cabby.
You're Snake Plissken, ain't you?
Instantly recognizes him.
Yes.
This guy's in a dystopian prison, cut off from the rest of the world, and still knows by instant sight Snake Plissken just walked through the door.
Everybody recognizes him in this movie. Like, they all know who the hell he is. He gets to the basement, because that's where the little red dot apparently is taking him. And he finds the little tracker that the president has, but it's a bum. They just put it on a bum, apparently.
He's just getting his face mashed in for just the slowest, just like...
Well, and when they break the tracker in the computer room, doesn't it have like all his stats like go to 0? But his stats never increased or decreased or whatever when he was getting the shit beat out of him. Like, cool. All right. No, that's fine.
He's just completely numb to everything, man.
Yeah. Snake then from there hides out in a chock full of nuts diner. Meets some chick who doesn't matter to the plot of this movie, but
no.
Like, I don't even understand why that scene's there. But the little gang of crazies chase him in there, and
this is where I really wish they would have shown more of. I could have done without some of the later scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
And would have really enjoyed like him having to actually go through, kind of warrior style, the rest of these gangs.
Yes.
And seeing a little bit more of what these gangs are about, not just constantly being bailed out by another guy that happens to recognize that Snake Plissken just got here. By the way, we all thought you were dead. The running joke through this is, I thought you were dead.
Yeah.
If everybody thinks this guy's dead and he just walks in the room, why would you be like, oh, Snake, hey, how you doing, buddy? Would you be like, yo, at least like, yo, dude, you look like Snake Plissken.
Snake gets chased out of the chock full of nuts. After a chase down a back alley, Cabby shows up and in his taxi rescues Snake, throws a Molotov cocktail at the crazies, and holds them off, and they take off. Cabby then tells Snake that Brain, played by Harry Dean Stanton, is this savvy, well-educated criminal on the island. He knows where the president's being held, so Cabby takes Snake there. Snake realizes it's one of his like former accomplices, and they know each other. They did some heists together, and Brain tells Snake that the gang leader, the Duke of New York, played by Isaac Hayes, which is... I really like Isaac Hayes in this movie.
Yes.
I think he does a fantastic job.
Horrible taste in fashion. Awesome character.
Well, horrible taste in fashion, which leaks into his vehicle because he puts 2 chandeliers on the front of his vehicle.
Yeah, it was really annoying because every time it moved, the background noise, you heard it jingling.
So the Duke of New York has this plan that he's basically going to use the president as a human shield.
Yes.
And cross the bridge that's heavily mined, to escape, and hostages. So,
hey guys, let's do some quick maths here. Donald Pleasance is about 2.5 feet tall. Isaac Hayes is about 87 feet tall. You and the rest of the Scooby Gang, which is like tens of thousands of prisoners on this island, are going to strap little Donald Pleasance on the hood of a car and just be like, we're all going across and nobody's going to shoot us.
Well, and...
You got to come up with a better plan. Like, if you're the Duke of New York, you got to come up with a better plan.
Well, you have to come up with
That's
a better
me.
plan because it's literally in this movie. They're like, if you don't save this dude in 24 hours, we don't give a shit about him. We'll just get another guy to do the whole president thing. And I think Snake actually says that to him. Either Snake or Brain says that to him, and he doesn't believe them.
Duke, that Pliskin said something about a time limit
What time limit?
on him.
That's a lot of crap.
In this movie, they could give a shit less about the president. They're like, he just has to be at the summit. If he ain't at the summit, there's really no use for him. So cool, we'll just keep him in there. It's fine.
Oh, right. All they want is this tape.
Yes.
This mysterious cassette tape, which, by the way, PSA number 2. Hey, kids, Uncle Corey, this will be a quickie. Important for you to realize that if you do have, like, world-changing information, one, don't put it on just, like, a cassette tape. Put it on something maybe a little more powerful that'll save and can back up, which leads to part 2, which is, kids, back up your files. Never, ever, ever just have one copy of something.
Yes.
Have multiple copies, especially if it's like, I've just discovered tritium, and that's going to save the world.
Snake forces Brain and his girlfriend, Maggie, to lead them back to Duke's compound. And Snake finds the president, who's being held in an abandoned railroad car. And his rescue fails, and he's captured by Isaac Hayes' gang. Because Brain betrays Snake, gives him a... Like, Brain through this whole movie's like, I don't give a fuck about you. Yeah, we knew each other. Cool. I'm going to give you up at every turn in this movie.
And if you remember, Brain already rat-fucked him in Cleveland at the bank job. He left him literally holding the bag, and that's why, presumably, Snake is in prison.
Yes.
So, you did all of that. You're going to trust this guy to help you again. Doesn't work the second time.
Yeah.
And for a third time, spoiler alert, you go back to get Brain's help.
Here's the other thing, too. When Snake gets jumped at, like, the railroad car area, there's, like, this weird sound effect. I don't know if you caught this. In Escape from New York, in Halloween, like, a couple of the sound effects that they use during, like, a surprise, like, attack or a murder or something. It was just a weird thing. It kind of caught me by surprise.
Yeah, oftentimes John Carpenter attempts at putting an exclamation point on a jump scare.
Yeah.
Fails when he does it with tones.
Because tones.
Yes.
So he's then, like, the next day, Snake is forced to fight this huge dude with a furry diaper and in this, like, boxing ring style thing, and they got the fans and weapons and whatever. It was very uninspired. Snake wins by hitting him in the back of the head with a spiked bat. And then Brain and Maggie kill Romero and the guards.
Romero deserved so much more when he finally died. Because you knew he was going to die.
Yeah.
But it should have been creepy and epic and weird. You know what I mean? And it was just like, you're dead.
In here, Brain.
Yeah, I didn't mind that so much.
I was very disappointed in that. I like that creepy little fucker. He deserved more.
Isaac Hayes and his crew find out about this. Chaos, and that's how Snake really gets away, because he just kind of gets lost in the fray.
Yeah, Snake basically survives this not through his wit or expenditure of ammunition. He doesn't do anything fantastic other than just let other people stand in the way and die as he gets closer to the game.
Damn it!
Literally, collateral damage is the only way Snake gets through this at all.
Yes,
he's not
absolutely.
really a hero as much as he is kind of lucky.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Snake chases them. He figures out they're going to his little glider thing. They get attacked by another gang, and they push the glider off of the roof of the World Trade Center. It crashes down. So now they really don't have a way to escape. Snake and Brain and Maggie find Cabby. Cabby's back. And they head for the bridge that is heavily mined. That's when Cabby reveals that the whole nuclear fusion tape, he has it because he got it from Romero. Snake takes it for insurance, and they drive through the bridge littered with bombs, and Isaac Hayes chases him. A couple of things. They're going through, and Brain has the map, and make a left, make a right, don't stay to the right, whatever. They hit one of these mines, and the cab blows up, and literally it splits the cab perfectly.
Yep.
Cabby's dead. And now they're on foot running towards the wall. And Brain, who's supposed to be like the smartest man on the island, is literally reading the map and steps on one of the mines, and he goes bye-bye.
That dumb motherfucker had the map upside down.
So Maggie asks Snake, because Snake's like, we gotta go. She asks him for the gun because they see, the car with the chandeliers coming because it's making all that noise with the chandeliers. So she takes the gun, which, okay, listen, it's a handgun. Okay, if anybody knows anything about handguns, you're going to want to shoot, I don't know, as somebody gets closer to you. Okay? With anything, you're going to get more accurate as things get closer. She's firing this pistol, and the dude's like a football field away.
Yeah.
So it's miss, miss, miss. Now he's 20 feet away. You finally hit him. But he's so close that he swerves, crashes the car, and runs you over. You're dead. Isaac Hayes gets out, the Duke of New York, gets out of the vehicle, chases down Snake and Donald Pleasance. They hoist Donald Pleasance, the president, over the wall, and Snake is still down there. They're getting into their little skirmish, and Snake is saved again by the president, who basically takes a submachine gun and mows down Isaac Hayes and says,
"Hey, number one! You're the Duke! You're the Duke!"
Because the Duke of New York, when he was in the cable car, had him chained up, and who am I, and say my name, and...
What did I teach you?
You are the Duke of New York. You're a number one.
And apparently that gave Donald Pleasance, the president, like, it was so traumatic to him that he had to be the one to kill him. And I'm gonna say your name, bitch. Yeah, you're a number one. Like, I actually thought that was hilarious. Like, that was...
I was pissing my pants laughing, especially because it goes from him being traumatized and such a puss.
You are the Duke of New York. You're a number one.
To, hey, number one! And mowing him down. Like, he is correct. This has just completely destroyed him psychologically, right?
Yeah.
I'm number one. And he even, like, starts laughing at the end of it.
The Duke!
Hey, number one.
Then they hoist Snake up, and then the next scene, he's calmly just sitting in a chair. They're putting makeup on. He's getting ready to go on TV. Like, did you bust a nut when you killed that motherfucker?
Well,
because you are eerily calm for having been psychologically snapped, like you just were 5 minutes ago, to being eerily calm and just still, like, everything's right in the world now.
Yeah.
No problems.
Because Snake goes up to him while he's, preparing, and somebody's shaving him before he goes on camera. And he asks him, you had all these people die for you.
We did get you out. A lot of people died in the process. I just wondered how you felt about it.
And he gives this, like, half-hearted, like, bullshit response.
Half-hearted?
Like...
He barely gave him an artery of a response.
I want to thank them. This nation appreciates their sacrifice.
Kurt Russell walks away, pissed off, whatever. And the best part of this movie is, because he can't make it to the summit, so they're doing this like live feed thing. He goes to the tape, he gives his little speech to begin, goes to the tape, and this is what we have for you. And it's supposed to be this nuclear fusion tape, and instead they play the theme song to American Bandstand. Because Kurt Russell switched out the tape with one of Cabby's tapes. And as Kurt Russell's walking away, he's, children, this is what tapes used to be. Cassette tapes used to be able to just, I don't want to listen to that no more. It's destroyed. So he destroys the thing, walks away. Houck offers him a job right before this and, says, hey, we could use you for some other things. And
We'd make one hell of a team, Snake.
It's Pliskin.
Call me Pliskin.
The name's Pliskin.
That's the end of the movie. I'll be honest. There were quite a few things in this movie that I questioned, or I was like, eh. But for me, I really it was an entertaining movie. I really enjoyed it. There was a few things here and there throughout the movie that, because listen, as much as the Warriors gets talked about and come out and play and all that shit, the Warriors isn't a great movie.
Oh no, it's horrible.
And this movie had a lot of Warrior aspects to it.
Yes.
And that's part of the things that I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I was entertained for the full, hour and 40 minutes that this movie ran. I really liked it.
Yeah, I would sum up this movie by comparing it to Snake Plissken's gun in this movie. By itself, if you really look at it with a sharp eye, it's an Uzi. We've discussed Uzis ad nauseum on this show. They're shit. They're dog shit of a weapon.
Yes.
So his weapon he's given is an Uzi. But then he puts that scope on it. He puts the suppressor on it or the long barrel on it. He has that thing so tricked out that it looks awesome.
Yes.
And you forget that it's just an Uzi.
Yep.
That's what this movie is. Looks awesome. It's a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, it's just an Uzi.
That's very well put. I really like that. That was succinct and
yeah, that was my one boosted moment for the year.
That's your A+ moment. You brought your A game for that 5 seconds. And
see you in 2021, gang.
So, with all of that being said, does this movie stand the test of time for you?
Yeah, it's very enjoyable still. It's extremely dated, but it is very enjoyable, and it gives you a good glimpse at what action movies were, why so many movies today mock movies like that.
Yeah.
You get to see a little bit of where the history comes from, which is nice.
Well, and you mentioned...
Who left the fridge open?
Back then, this was 1981. Back then, that was just the thing. And again, whether it was Westerns, like even like the spaghetti Westerns and all that, these action movies, that's your main guy. This is,
100%.
He's got a duster and that's how he talked. And that's just, that was just the way it went for those characters at the time. Now it's, it's overplayed. So when somebody does it, it's just laughable. But back then, that's why I kind of gave that a pass because by like the 90s, that wasn't it was still a thing, but it was, you made fun of that thing.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, but yeah, like overall, I really enjoyed watching this movie. It was a quick, there wasn't any stale moments.
No, not at all.
It moved really quickly through the whole plot. Outside of the cabbie exposition.
The Duke of New York, #1? The big man, that's who. You can't meet the Duke. Are you crazy? Nobody gets to meet the Duke. You meet him once and then you're dead.
Other than that, I really loved this movie. It was really good.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, sir, we're good to go.
All right. Well, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1981's Escape from New York.